a good ball played in for Tony Morley. Oh, he missed it! It is! Peter Ward! Villa in the lead!
Hello, good evening, Aston Villa fans, and welcome to the Villa Threader podcast. I am your host, Chad Williams. Please subscribe. Do what you can to the Thread 2K. Make sure to follow me on all socials. You can follow me on Spotify, Apple, Amazon Music. We're live on Facebook, YouTube, and X. Smash the likes and spread awareness of Do Shit Musky Initiative. This evening, I'm joined by our special guest, Graig, who is the host of the Cherries in all departments. I've been on this show before, and he has been on my show before. He always does a great job with his podcast. And this is a pre-match talk show. In the Premier League, it's Bournemouth versus Aston Villa. Aston Villa travel to the Vitality Stadium. It is so important. Aston Villa need to bounce back. There's a lot of teams below them putting the pressure on Aston Villa. And Aston Villa need to gain momentum. Great to the show again, Craig. How are you?
Yeah, all good. Thank you, Chad. And it's always a pleasure to come on your show. And yeah, thanks for inviting me. Sorry we couldn't do this earlier on in the season.
As well, we're both managers. I said this before on previously on some of the shows. Iraola and Emery, both Basque managers.
Yes.
And both of them have got a lot of respect for each other.
hmm Yes.
You carry on.
Oh yes, apologies, Chad. Yes, both of them. And actually, it's quite interesting. Because I did or spoke to a gentleman called Mikel Extari, who was responsible for coaching and training them. He is the Basque Country national team manager, and what he come out with was really, really interesting about their whole approach, their whole philosophy. And when you look at the styles of the two managers and exactly what they do, how they set up, how they line up, it is very, very, very similar.
This is the style of play. This is them playing out from the back. So that the high pressing sort of style. Intensity. And they both play enjoyable football.
Yeah.
It's both fans, I think. I think also because we have to adapt to it. With these managers to adapt to a different way. It took the time for the fans to get used to it.
Yeah, I think when Iraola first come in, it took a little bit of time to actually get up to speed with what his philosophy was. When he got that philosophy over to the side and they managed to adapt, we really, really did excel from that point onwards. Iraola has been absolutely brilliant. The only fault, and of course, I will mention it. I'm not going to shy away from, of course, the defeat up at Villa Park earlier on the season, which wasn't particularly a great game. The only failing, from our perspective, it wasn't anyway. But to be honest, Chad, the only reason why and the concern with playing Aston Villa is because Iraola is very set in his ways. He is probably going to go with the same approach that Unai Emery knows because he employs that way.
It works. He knows that it works. Like the way that works. Like.
Oh, agree, 100%. And to be honest, Chad, I think Villa do it a little bit better than we do. And it showed in that game, that 4-0 defeat earlier on in the season. We weren't at our best, in all honesty, but Unai Emery sets up
Mhm.
in that way, sets up in that style, playing out from the back, the
Yes.
high press.
And
Um,
sometimes you get caught out, but most of the time it's like Emery. It does work most of the time.
Yes, and actually, it's quite an interesting topic because I've been speaking. In fact, we did our Dean Court social
Yes.
just before I come on today, and one of the big questions that I have, for Bournemouth fans is: do we change? Do we adapt
Mhm.
what AFC Bournemouth set out to do? Do we change our style to try and counteract what Unai Emery is no doubt going to bring?
Yeah.
um, because he is, without a doubt, I'm a big fan of Unai Emery's. I think, when he was at Arsenal, he was very, very harshly treated. And I think if they'd
I
stuck
agree.
with him, they would have seen the benefits which Villa are now enjoying. He did a great job at Villarreal, and of course, he's doing a fantastic job at Aston Villa. He's one of the best in that field. He is without a doubt one of the
You
best
look at his track
managers.
record, it's like 4 year, like it's won like 4 Europa Leagues. I think the
Mm.
big thing now, the Iraola gets to deliver a trophy with Aston Villa. I mean, that to me, that'll top it off, I think.
Well, he's still in the hunt for the Premier League trophy, and in all honesty, um, if the form hadn't dipped of recent, um,
Yes.
and I'm sure that you're hoping that you can get back to winning ways this weekend. Of course, we're hoping that you leave it until the Brighton game. Um, in all honesty, if you hadn't have had that dip in form
Yep.
recently, since that defeat by Arsenal at the Emirates, um, I have no doubt that it would be yourself and Arsenal competing for the league title.
Yep.
I really do rate exactly what he's done. You've had, without a shadow of a doubt, Chad, I think you've had the best transfer window out of anybody in the Premier League.
Well, yeah, we're not telling you, hey, Brandon, that's the way. But the players that know the club, I think it's a smart move, I think.
Agree, 100%, 100%, and I think it's only going to improve your side. It's going to improve your chances, and um, I think this is a very, very, very dangerous game that we're coming into because, of course, Villa are wounded after the
Yes.
defeat by Brentford. Brentford are a side that we don't have much luck against, Chad, to be
We're a
honest,
bogey
and
team, there seems to be a bogey team for us.
they are for us. And I think it's because the style of play that they employ to actually stop teams like Villa,
Yep.
like ourselves. Arsenal haven't got a great record against them either,
Oh, yeah.
believe it or not. And I believe when Lopetegui, I wouldn't quote me on this, when Lopetegui was there at Wolves, I don't think Wolves had much success
Yep.
against Brentford.
Yep.
My question really is now, you know, um, to our fan base and to Iraola, is
Yep.
do we go into this game playing the
Yes.
way we do to try and
Yep.
impose ourselves on Aston Villa, being the home team, or do we just adapt? Do we change our style, maybe just for this one game, but
No,
make
from
ourselves a
your
little
point
bit
of view,
tougher?
because the way Bournemouth set up,
Mm,
that suits the way that we like to play. Even the high pressing, and also we were putting a majority on not tying the ball.
mm.
So I think it'll actually be better for us if you play the same. So I wonder if you will change it, maybe, I don't know.
It didn't work early in the season, playing the
It's
same way, mate. It was, to
going
be
to be an
honest,
open game. It's going to be a very end-to-end game, I think.
it
Very
is.
open. Yeah.
It is. I think, if both teams go out with the same sort of style, the same intentions, the it's going to be a lot more. We're in better form than we were. when we last played you. We'd just been beaten by Manchester City. To be honest, it was our first defeat by Manchester City was our first for a while. The heads went down, the confidence went down, and of course the defeat, at Villa Park was really disappointing. But you could see a bit of the confidence had just been lost. Villa were very, very good that day. I think we were poor. Can't take anything
Overall,
away from
what
Aston
do you
Villa.
expect from Saturday? What you expected from Saturday?
Um, it's going to be an incredibly tough game. It's going to be,
Yes.
I would say, apart from the Arsenal match, to be honest, I was more worried,
Yep.
going into that first match, I was more worried about playing Villa than I was Manchester City
Yep.
because we played Man City just beforehand, and so it showed. Villa were a lot better side, a lot stronger side, a lot more. And maybe Chad, you could say Man City can
Yep.
buy absolutely anybody. They have got the best
Yes.
players in the world, but Villa have got that
Yep.
chemistry, they've got that connection, they've got that team built, and they work very, very, very well with each other.
Well, I hope you're the only Watkins. But I hope he's fit for the game. Because the last time that we played at the Vitality,
Mm.
Watkins broke the all-time Premier League goal scoring record. So I think he scored a few times against Bournemouth. Isn't quite a
Uh,
record.
yeah, he has got a good record against us, mate. Um, to be fair, whoever Aston Villa put out, we've got to treat the team with the
Yep.
utmost most respect.
Yep.
I would expect our team to go out there, and what I am hoping is
Yes.
that we do try and play a way that counteracts Villa's strengths because we know how good you are. If we play the same way as we do,
Yes.
you do, I think you'll beat
Yes.
us. I think you'll beat
Yep.
us. But I think if we counteract, and when I look at the games that you've had this
Yep.
season, and I run through your fixtures, um, out of the games where you haven't, won or you've
Yep.
drawn, you've only scored twice. So it
Mhm.
really jumps out to me that the
Yes.
way to stop Aston Villa is to stop
Yep.
you guys scoring.
Yep.
Of course, you scored against Sunderland
Yep.
in that draw at the Stadium of Light, and in the 4-1 defeat by Arsenal.
Well, this
Other
be
than
actually,
that,
Craig, that we've conceded the most goals from mistakes. You
mm,
didn't see us stats. I think it's today. I think I saw that.
I think, yeah, I think there is a mistake in there. I think Martinez, as good a goalkeeper he is,
Yep.
has made a couple of howlers.
Yes,
It's
we do.
always going to happen. It's always going to happen. Um, but you know, from my view, Aston Villa, Martinez might make a mistake
Yep.
on Saturday, um, but if we play the same way as we normally do, I've
Yep.
got no doubt that Villa will score. The answer to this is really maybe we have to play a little bit like Everton do to get a
Yep.
result here, because Everton, they're not a pretty team to watch. They're in fact they're
Yep.
horrible to watch, to be perfectly honest. But they did seem to stop you scoring completely, and
Yep.
if we can stop Aston Villa scoring,
Yep.
then we have a chance. It's still going to be an edgy game, but
Well, Brentford,
uh,
they were doing one organised. And what they did is they played that low block. And we seem to struggle against teams that play that low block. It's not the wide, not the wide areas. Against Brentford, we
mm,
kept getting forced out wide. And sometimes
yeah.
I think we knocked the perfect goal a bit too much sometimes, I think.
Yeah, and you know what? Everything that you're saying, Chad, I can kind of aim at our team as well.
Yep.
Because, of course, two managers from the same region of
Yeah.
Spain, um, they both seem to. There's been times when we've watched games and AFC Bournemouth have tried to
Yep.
score a perfect goal, and Evan Nielsen's tried to.
Yeah.
And don't get me wrong, I don't think Evan Nielsen isn't a prolific goal scorer.
Yeah. Yeah.
Krupi is, Krupi is, and I think that is where we, if I was an Aston Villa fan, he would be the man that I would be trying to keep quiet in
Yep.
this game.
It's a
Um,
rock and roll, I think. A bit like he's not done need to give that rock and roll style football to. And against Brentford, I mean, it's more the classical music style that we
mm,
went for
mm.
instead. That's what I think.
Brentford seem to, and it's always the same teams, isn't it? Brentford, Everton, they
Yes.
seem to be able to counteract this sort of
Yep.
style by playing their own
Mm.
sort of methods. They seem to be very, very, very solid at breaking down plays.
Yes.
That's where their focus is. That's where they're getting Brentford more so probably than Everton are. Um,
Yes.
but in all honesty, I know, and I think most of the Premier League know the
Yes.
dangers that Aston Villa pose if you don't keep the forward line,
Yep.
you don't keep them quiet, you
Because we're
don't.
not breaking for the likes of Douglas Luiz. That's
Mm,
what I think it is going to be useful in this game. Because he looks pussy from deep. Because
yeah,
he's got long
yeah.
range vision. That's why we'll get through, I think, like, as well. Breaking the lines, that's it. Breaking through the lines.
You're quite right. I think a lot of how Aston Villa
Yes.
start their moves, the midfield is such a core area for you. You keep control of the ball really well in that midfield. And again, both sides are so similar. I
Yes.
just think you probably do it a little bit better because you have probably got that bit more experience, and you've
Yep.
got that strong. I hate to use the word, but strong
Yes.
caliber of player. Morgan Rogers, for example,
Yes.
Morgan Rogers, of course, was formerly at AFC Bournemouth.
Yep.
And when he was here, he didn't do a great deal, but I don't think he was
Yep.
deployed in the right way by Scott Parker.
Yep.
Unai Emery has found exactly the way to actually play Morgan
He's
Rogers.
getting the best out of him.
Oh,
He's like as well,
100%.
like, he finds the space to. If you give Morgan Rogers time and space, he's going to punish you.
Exactly, exactly. And I think, he is the man, of course. We have to keep quiet. We have to try and control that midfield. So I know that I did send over a lineup. I think, with
I was going to say
Lewis.
to you, what do you expect for the lineup? Because I haven't got the graphic. I'll see. Yeah, I'll just read it to you now. So, you tell me what you got there. What's the lineup you think?
Yeah, so the Bournemouth lineup that I would go for is Jordi Petrovic in goal. The defence kind of picks itself. However, one slight change. I would go Traffair left back. Adrian Traffair's been excellent in the left back position. Senesi and James Hill. James Hill's really taken his opportunity.
Yep.
Diakite has been a little bit wobbly recently, so he again needs that confidence back. On the right hand side, I'd actually play Alex Jimenez, and
Yep.
I'll explain in a moment why I play him, but he's very, very, very quick at breaking.
Yep.
He's very, very pacey.
Yep.
And that might be somewhere that we get a little bit of luck. Just in front of the defence, I would play
Yep.
Lewis Cook and Alex Scott. Alex Scott likes breaking things up, likes control,
Yep.
breaking up those plays. I think he
They
really
form a
needs
good
to be involved.
partnership together, they do. Like, it's a great combination.
Yeah, I think, with regards to Alex Scott, I think, he was probably um, earlier on in the season, he was playing alongside Tyler Adams. Tyler Adams has got quite a nasty injury now, so he's going to be out for some time. But, I think that Lewis Cook has got experience. He's got the know-how. He's got the knowledge. He's still quite a young man. He can still play it right back as well if need be. And
Yes,
what's also good is if we do need Jimenez to push up a little bit further in this match,
yes,
we could move Cook into that right back position.
yeah.
On the
He's
left-hand
not
side,
versatile.
yeah, he is. He's a very, very versatile player, and that's the I think that's the real big benefit of having a Lewis Cook because he can switch into that right back position. We can change our formation a little bit. We can go possibly a little bit more direct and put that little bit more pace up front. Um, with regards to the wingers, um, two wingers that maybe you've not heard of before. Amin Adli, I think, will play on one wing.
Yep.
And our new Brazilian, Ryan, I think he's going to be a very, very, very good player
Is
as
he a
well.
new signing?
He is, yes. He was signed from Vasco da Gama, where he had such a good track record in the Brazilian leagues. He did set up the second goal for Alex Scott against Wolves in our most recent game at
Yep.
Molineux. So he's brilliant. He really is a good player. I would encourage anybody to watch the highlights of him, where
Yes.
there's a goal on there where
Yeah.
the ball's just behind him. He's chipped it over his head and then he's just put it in the corner. It's one of those things that you could probably only do on FIFA, but he's actually done it
Yes.
in real life. So
Oh
he's
well.
he's he's
So the
quality.
Brazilians, I mean in Brazil, is the hotbed of talent. Brazil is.
Yeah, he is probably, I remember, going back to my childhood, the Brazilian players had that different flair. They had that
Yep.
different style. They had that different way of linking
Mm.
up, and they used to do things with the football that you'd never imagine.
You know, like
Um,
Ronaldinho, those sort of players, like Neymar, Ronaldinho, or, yeah, Ronaldo.
I think this man could be, you know, probably not to that level at this moment in time, the
Yes.
Ronaldinho level,
Yep.
but
Yep.
he is most definitely
Yep.
probably he's styling himself on
Yes.
Ronaldinho. So yeah, he's exciting. Um, I've got to mention this man though. I think just behind Evan Nielsen up front,
Yes.
Ellie Junior Krupi, he's the danger
Yep.
man. He's the man that you will need to
Mhm.
keep quiet
Yes.
to walk away from Dean Court with the points because he is capable of scoring from pretty much any position.
Yes.
Um, you
To
know,
go
he's
close him down, make sure we close him down.
well. I don't know if you saw his goal against Wolves.
I think I noticed her actually. I think it's right match today. I think yeah.
It just fell. It kind of fell awkwardly to him, and just a strike. It was kind of
Mm.
like a semi volley, and it just looped
Yes.
over. No goalkeeper in the
Oh
world
well.
would have saved that. Um, so Ellie Junior Krupi is the player that you have to
Yes.
watch if you want to come away from Dean Court with the
Yep.
3 points. You need to stop him scoring, and I
Well,
think
I want to see us do as well. I'd like to see us get him more in the box, but cross it into like I don't know if Watkins will fit or Tommy Abraham.
mm,
There's a player like him like Tommy Abraham. The game against Brentford was crying out for a good cross. So look at it like, they continue to whip it in.
I think that might be where you get the most luck from as well, Chad. When you're on the attack, you know how do you actually, get the best opportunity. And I
Yep.
think, getting that ball into the box, probably just ahead of where Senesi
Yes.
and Hill will be, which,
Yep.
they do move quite into quite a deep area sometimes. Um, if you play it just ahead of
Yes.
them, you will possibly get some luck there.
Yep.
Tammy Abraham's a brilliant player. He is a brilliant player. No doubt once he gets up and
Yep.
running properly at Aston Villa, he'll be good. But
You
we're
know the way he
hoping.
brings players. Because Tommy Abraham's very good at bringing other players into the game.
Mm,
He's physical, like his physical presence. He's quite tall. He's a real handful for defenders.
yeah, 100%, Chad. And he's a little bit like a Solanke type player.
Yes.
Where Solanke, a lot of people were critical because they were like, "Wow, he's not the
Mhm.
30 goal a season striker that we wanted when we were in the championship." That always used to be the thing. He's not the 30 goal a season striker. Well, he might not be,
Yep.
and he might never be that. But he's so vital because he'll drop back, he'll make things happen, he'll create things for
Yes.
other players around there.
Yep.
So yeah, I think Solanke, Tammy Abraham are the same sort of style of players. I would say probably Tammy is gonna really or will really have benefited from his
Yep.
time over in Italy. I think that will have made him stronger as a
Mhm.
person as well as a player. Um, but don't get me wrong, Ollie Watkins, Tammy Abraham, whoever is up front for
Yes.
Aston Villa, we have to be on our best to actually get, the 3 points. But on the spin side,
Yes.
keeping Kroopy quiet is essential for
Yes.
you guys.
Yes. Well, I was going to ask you. Let me talk about transfer window.
Hmm.
Let's give about Iraola. There's been a lot of speculation of the Iriola's future.
Yes.
He was linked to the Man United job. So, as a Bournemouth fan, are you sort of worried about him leaving? Or do you feel okay about it at the moment?
Um, yes and no. Yes and no. Um, Firstly, we know what Iraola is all about. Iraola will not sign a contract whilst he's in a contract. He won't break a contract when he's in a contract.
Yep.
If anything happens, if he goes to Manchester United, it'll be at the end of the season. So I'm kind of hoping that Carrick just keeps going and going and going, keeping Manchester United.
Also,
Um,
he's not really the number one choice either. Because you got Oliver Glasner, obviously Oliver Glasner's been linked
mm.
to the job.
Well, hopefully they will go for Glasner because, of course, he's going to be leaving Crystal Palace anyway. So I'm hoping they go there. But in all honesty, I I expect this from Iraola. He's probably going to make the decision at the end of the
Yep.
season. Without a shadow of a doubt. People
Mhm.
are putting and fans are putting pressure on him to sign it now. That's not the way Iraola does things. He will
Yep.
wait until the end of the season, and then make the call then. The good thing is Ryan seems to have been a player that Iraola really,
Yes.
really wanted at this football club. By us bringing in Ryan, I think that it will tempt him. I'm
Mhm.
hoping to sign another contract. Um, if we went on a fire sale at the end of this season, there is
Yep.
no way we are keeping Andoni Iraola. If we keep solid and
Yep.
prevent sales of most of the players, okay, Sememyo, it was
He was always going
unavoidable
to
in the
go there.
end.
He's familiar. He was always going to turn down that offer. But just 24 million, I mean, it was a big offer that you're never going to turn down. He's
We
always going to happen. It's Man City. He's always going to go.
This is the way that our football club is kind of running nowadays. And I don't mind it. Some fans are very much like that we shouldn't be a selling club, but you look at the size of our football club.
Yes.
Um, you know, Villa Park dwarfs. Dean Court.
Yep.
It's so much bigger. I think it's probably about 5 times bigger. Don't quote me on
Yep.
that, but I think it's about 5 times bigger than Dean Court. So we're always going to be that selling club. Our forte is to buy a player, improve
Yep.
that player, and then sell that player on for a profit, then find the
Yep.
next one, and so on and so forth. That's what we did with Sememyo. No doubt that's what's going to happen with Krupi.
Yep.
There's no way we're going to be able to keep Krupi long term.
So the bigger clubs, like, they can just buy anyone. So look at Man City, if they want a certain player, they will pay anything to get that player.
Yeah, and it's quite unfair as well because, of course, Aston Villa have had their PSR challenges
Yes.
where they've not
Yep.
been able to spend, and were in a great position and had to sell to actually make any changes.
Yep.
Whereas Manchester City seem to find a way around all these blockers all the time.
Yep.
So to be honest, Chad, yeah, unfortunately it's the nature of the beast in the Premier League for us. But I don't mind it. Some fans with shorter memories,
Yep.
here don't like it. They want us to keep hold of
Yes.
Sememyo, even though £65 million is waved in front of
Yep.
us. Um, I remember when we had to sign players on loan because we couldn't buy a player.
Yes.
So it's something I'm accustomed
That's what
to.
the Henry, that's why he's been frustrated. He'll be restricted to the money that he can spend due to PSR, not the SCR.
Mm,
But we actually like play, like, was in the Champions League the season before, we're actually paying the price. You get to Champions League, you think you're going to be better off. But it comes down to obviously the revenue.
yeah, it's just wrong. It's wrong the way that the football pyramid does things. The Premier League does things.
Yep.
In all honesty, Chad, I think that PSR needs to be put to one side. Aston Aston Villa have done tremendously well and should be able to strengthen. I'm not saying go out and sign everybody under the sun like
Yeah.
Manchester City have had the ability to
Yeah.
do, but should be able to strengthen. But
Yep.
then there's sides getting punished down the
Yeah.
pyramid. You look at Leicester City.
Yes.
Leicester City got a 6-point deduction from the
Yes.
EFL today,
It's
and
already,
a
yeah.
lot of that stems from their success. They become so
Yeah.
successful. They spent a lot more money. They had to put players on higher wages. Those players kind of couldn't replicate
Yeah.
that. They ended up getting relegated, and now they're being hit with this. Football.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah,
football's
well, I
not
think
wrong.
those rules, I think, it's protect the so-called Big Six. It protects those clubs, I think.
Yeah, it does. And what I'm going to get very political here now. You look at Manchester City again, and
Yep.
how much money they've had the ability to spend. Now,
Yes.
the owners of Newcastle United, I like them, despise
Yep.
them, whatever. Um,
Yes.
they should be able to replicate or spend money in the same way that Manchester City did.
Yes.
If somebody takes over at Aston Villa who wants to spend ridiculous amounts of money, they should be able to within, a constraint. Man City, if they want to be silly enough and buy, and spend
Yep.
even more, then fair enough. But if they end up in financial strife, then that's their
Yes.
problem. I feel that yes, it is protecting the big six. Manchester United, for example, haven't been in the big
Yep.
six for a long, long time, and
Yep.
lo and behold, they can still spend like they
Yeah,
are in the big six.
they get their revenue. They make so much off their revenue. So they don't get punished because yeah.
There needs to be a cap. There needs to be a cap. and that cap needs to be decided by the Premier League for all clubs.
Yep.
It should be done on the merit of
Yes.
where the teams have finished before.
Yep.
That's absolutely fine. But if Manchester City finished in fifth and Aston Villa
Yes.
finished in third, Aston Villa
Yep.
should be able to spend more money than Manchester City
Yes.
based
Exactly.
on their prize money. If we finished in second, for example,
Yep.
again, based on the prize money, we should be able to spend,
I mean, you can put them
as
in United in that season. Like, you
yeah,
put them, if they're 17th, do another one the Europa League, but then they still get Champions League.
it's wrong, isn't it? It is wrong. Unfortunately, I think that's more European rules than the Premier League, but
Yes, in the rules, yeah.
um, it is, yeah. Football has no controls. But lo and behold, if Spurs finish where they are at
Yes.
this moment in time,
Yep.
if the season was set to end tomorrow,
Yeah.
and they finish where they
Mm-hmm.
are at this exact moment in time, no doubt they would be able to spend as much as they want because
Yep.
of these revenue streams. There needs to be an answer just to make football fairer. There
Yeah,
should
I
be
agree. Yeah.
this ability for a team, and this is getting very, very political now.
Yes.
I think personally, the reason why they did it was when Leicester did win the Premier League. It was great for football. It was great for the neutral fan. I think
Yes.
every football fan in the world was urging them to win it over Arsenal and Man
Yes.
City in particular. Um, and they did. They did. And it was great for football. But was it really great for the money men? It probably wasn't. It probably was.
Yep.
Um, they wanted to see a Man City or an Arsenal win it. That's why I think, if you were to win it this year, that would be
Yes.
absolutely brilliant again
I
for
mean, a
football.
lot of team, a lot of fans would be rooting for like, so this really like, if anything.
Mate, honestly, I would be absolutely delighted for you. If you were to win the Premier League, it would be a brilliant story. The main reason being is the it would upset the football pyramid. It would upset the
Yeah, yeah.
football pyramid. Likewise, earlier on in the season, we were dreaming about what
Mm-hmm.
we could do.
Yes.
I joked about and I said, oh yeah, we could win the
Yeah.
Premier League. We would never win the Premier League.
But the
We're just
contenders, I
too
mean, just
small.
to be, I don't say we're going to win the Premier League, but just to be contenders shows how far this team has come in the Emirates.
100%, 100%. It's only recent form, in all honesty, though, Chad,
Yes.
why you aren't keeping
Mm-hmm.
pace with Arsenal. Had you beaten Arsenal in that game at the Emirates,
Yes.
then without a shadow of a doubt, you would be right in that
Yeah.
battle. More importantly, though, forget the Arsenal defeat. Most importantly, I
Yeah. Yeah.
think, for yourselves and where there probably is a bit of disappointment, is the Brentford defeat at home. And of
Does the Everton
course,
drop points against Everton? To
yeah,
Brentford,
exactly.
Crystal Palace?
I don't, you seem to have the same problems with the same teams that we do. Everton, of course, played them earlier on in the season. Honestly,
Yeah.
Chad, it was possibly one of the worst games of football to ever watch. I think even if
Yeah.
it was televised, I don't know who was watching after about 5 minutes because
Yes.
it was painful to watch it in the crowd.
Yes.
But yeah, Everton are not a great team to watch.
Yes.
And they thwarted us, as did Brentford. As did Brentford. We
Yes.
just can't seem to beat Brentford. Um, so yeah, it's those sort of games where
Yes.
the being right in there for the contention will be decided. But I've got no doubt
Yeah.
Unai Emery will want to bounce back to winning ways, and we're just hoping that maybe just maybe he can wait another week to
Yeah.
do that. But like I say, I'd absolutely love to see, because we're not going to win it.
Yep.
I'd love to see you do it.
Craig, I was going to ask him one more question.
Yeah, go for it.
So what's your mind on Aston Villa's transfer window? The
I think
overall,
you've had the best transfer window out of everybody. Douglas Luiz coming back, I think is a great bit of business. It's sensible. It makes sense. You look at, what you've done as well, bringing
Yep.
in Tammy Abraham,
Mhm.
Brian Maggio from Metz. You've also got your own Brazilian right winger as well in Allison.
Yes.
So your window, in all honesty, I think is probably the best, in the top flight. The only team that I think could possibly compete with the window that you've had is
Yep.
ourselves.
Yep.
Ryan was an unbelievable signing for us.
Oh yeah,
I've got
great signing.
no doubt he's gonna go right to the very top. We've put in, and this is what's great. We've put in €100, 100 million euro,
Yes.
I should say, not €100. That would be quite
Yes. Yes.
cheap for him. €100 million release clause
Oh
for
well.
Ryan. That's what we need to do with a player like that, because somebody will come in for him, and I think he's trying to ward off most teams apart from the obvious, the Real Madrids,
Well,
Barcelonas
we
of this
need to be
world
very
who will come in.
cautious. Just all financial restrictions. So the Emery though is a clever way
Mm,
to bring in all these loan signings. It's really not the big reunion from an Aston Villa point of view.
yeah.
Because Leon Bailey coming back.
Mm.
Abraham Douglas Luiz. Yeah.
I think I think it's a great window. In all honesty, mate, and it's possibly going to be that last bit needed to really push. I think you've still got a
Yes.
chance. You've still got a chance of,
Mhm.
yeah, it's probably an outside chance, but we know Arsenal. We know Arsenal have a wobble. Um, it's very possible that they'll have another wobble. And if
Yeah.
they do, you know, then Unai Emery wants the side and wants
It's
the
like a
team
Douglas
ready to take
Luiz.
it.
The last time he contributed to a champion for getting the Champions League last time. So
Mm,
you can sort of also our midfield. There's been obviously injuries. We suffered with injuries.
yes.
Things like the tournaments, Kamara, no McGinn. So Douglas Luiz, he was slot right back in there, probably in Tielemans' position.
Yeah, and he's a quality player. He's got the experience. He will, you know, I'm sure he'll embrace coming back. And
Yep.
yeah, I've got no doubt. I've got no doubt. He'll be a big part in the push. Like I say, I don't think you're out of it. I don't think you're out of it.
Yes.
Arsenal are susceptible to a wobble.
Yep.
Um, it's very possible they're going to have another wobble. This season. So who knows? Who knows? But yeah, Douglas Luiz, just out of interest, actually
Yep.
started his career at Vasco da Gama like Rayan. So
Was
yeah,
interesting.
we're hoping, fingers crossed, that he is Ryan is just as good as Douglas Luiz.
Well, so before that you go, could you give me the score prediction?
Okay, I'm gonna say it really with my heart here, and what I think might, what hope will happen. I am hoping that, the way to beat Aston Villa, in my
Yep.
mind, is to keep Aston Villa from scoring.
Yep.
You let Aston Villa score, it becomes a whole different game. The teams that have succeeded the most, and like I say, you've only scored two goals in games where you've drawn or you've been beaten this season. That's the way to do it. So we've got to keep you quiet. So I've gone,
Just
for a clean sheet, and
yep.
it's going to be I've gone for a 1-0 win. Creepy scoring the winner.
Let's give you a positive. Yep.
Yeah, it's more with my heart than my head. But
Yep.
like I say, if we stop Villa scoring, then we've got such a chance.
Yep. I think I've
Villa
got a chance.
score,
Yeah.
Villa score. It's a whole different game from that point inwards. So yeah, I'm going to go for a
I'm gonna,
1-0, but it's more
I'm gonna
heart
go
than head.
2-1. I think we'll concede. I think we'll concede one. Lucas is winning this game 2-1. I think we'll edge it.
Fair enough. Fair enough. It's going to be it's going to be a battle. It's going to be an
Looking forward to
exciting
it.
game, and yeah, hopefully, you know, we're not in bad form now. We're not in bad form. A couple of weeks ago, before Christmas, I would have turned round and said, "Yeah, you'll you beat us all day long because we were playing poorly. We couldn't seem to win a game. We couldn't seem to. We had the real wobble from going from, I think we were second in the league at the time, to dropping just above the relegation zone. Yeah, it was such a drop off. However, we're back in form now, so I'm hoping we can just kick on and we can pick up from where we were earlier in the season. We don't want to go on another run like that, to be honest, Chad.
So, Craig, are you doing your show after this?
Yes, I shall be. However, it's not a live show as well. So yeah, I will get it put up. Probably be up from tomorrow morning.
Well, thank you, Craig, for your time.
Yeah, not a problem at all, Chad. And no, thank you so much for inviting me. I always love coming on here, having a chat with yourself. I do apologise if I go into sometimes too much detail, but yeah,
Just okay.
it's
For a good
always a
debate.
pleasure, mate.
Yeah.
Most definitely, mate. Most definitely. And yeah, it's always a pleasure, mate.
Well, thank you everyone for watching. Make sure you subscribe to this channel. Make sure to smash the likes. And you're listening to the audio. Make sure to leave us a good review. That always helps. Also, leave your comments as well. And do what you can to help me to the road to 2K. Thank you everyone for watching. Villa Thriller as always. And up the Villa.